we are not rare. But before you leave, you will perceive the lore will be unlocked. You might be stalked by a Sasquatch or a ghost witch, possibly even a ghost that will boast about knowing the Ohio Grassman or even the Michigan Dogman. Werewolves hunt, poltergeists are up front, but in these backwoods folklore is unlocked.
Welcome back to Folklore Unlocked. I'm Austin, and like always, I'm joined by Ethan.
Yep, hello again, everyone.
And this week, we are covering the Dardeen Family Murders. And after you either watch it on YouTube or listen to it on Spotify, I highly recommend you go watch a happy TV show or listen to a happy song, because this is kind of a really dark episode.
Yeah, it's a little bit gruesome.
So comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and follow us on Spotify, getting that out of the way early before we get into the dark stuff, because, well, this gets dark pretty quick. And the Dardeen family consisted of husband Russell Keith Dardeen, wife Ruby Elaine Dardeen, and son Peter Dardeen, who were 29, 30, and 2 respectively, and the parents went by their middle names. So from here on out, we're gonna call them Keith and Elaine. And speaking of Elaine, she was pregnant at the time of the murders, so that's why there's 4 victims in this.
And some background for this. So, Keith was originally from Mount Carmel, Illinois, and then worked at the Red Lake Water Conservancy District as treatment plant operator. And Elaine was originally from Albion, Illinois, and worked at a supply store in Mount Vernon, Illinois. And Keith brought a trailer and moved to Ina, Illinois first for his job, and was later joined by Elaine and Peter in 1986. And they were on rent. They rented the land of a nearby farming couple.
And then to continue the family background, the couple were part of a local Baptist church music ensemble. So they sing at their local Baptist church, where Keith sang lead vocals while Elaine played piano. And in 1987, Elaine became pregnant with the couple's second child, and the couple decided to name the child Ian if it was a boy, or Casey if it was a girl. And this pregnancy led the couple to strongly consider moving due to homicides in the surrounding area, with them putting up the mobile home up for sale in late 1987. And to give you a little clarity, they were pregnant with the girl, so I'm gonna call the baby Casey out of respect for their wishes at the time. So there's also that.
And a little bit more of the family's background. According to Keith's mother, Joanne Dardeen, Keith said he'd move back to Mount Carmel even if he was unable to find a job there. And a friend of Keith said that after a 10-year-old girl was sexually assaulted and killed in the May of 1987, that Keith had become so protective of his family that even when a young woman came to their door asking to use the phone, he refused. So it seems like he's very protective of his family.
Well, at the time, it was fair because there were a string of homicides and violent crimes in the area at the time, so fair, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
And on and moving on to Keith's now explained disappearance, but at the time unexplained disappearance on November 18th, 1987. Keith didn't show up to work, call into work, or answer his phone, which a supervisor found odd since Keith was reliable, and the supervisor called both of Keith's parents since they were divorced, and both of them didn't know what was going on either. So Don Dardeen, Keith's father, called the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and agreed to bring the spare key and meet with deputies.
And then when they got there and opened the door, they found some bodies. Uh, so they found the bodies of Elaine, Peter, and then the newborn infant daughter tucked in the same bed. And Elaine and Peter and also the newborn were all beaten to death with presumably a baseball bat Keith had given to Peter as a birthday present. And Elaine was also bound, gagged with duct tape.
Yeah, it's like I said, this is the time where things start getting dark
Yeah.
and dark real quick. So, well, once they found the bodies, investigators believed Keith was the prime suspect since he was found at the house and his 1981 red Plymouth wasn't at the house either. So a team of armed police officers went to Joanne's house, which is Keith's mother's house, but didn't find Keith. And the search for Keith ended the next day on November 19th, 1987, when a group of hunters found his body in a wheat field near Rim Lake College. And the wheat field now is where the baseball field is at Rim Lake College. And police aren't sure if Keith was killed at the trailer and moved there, or he was killed elsewhere other than the trailer.
I didn't know that was where the body was found in the wheat field there. Okay. In the house crime scene, there was.
Trust me, I did ask around, and that's where the wheat field was.
Okay. So the house crime scene, there was a small quantity of weed found in the trailer, but not enough to suggest that the Dardians were dealers. And the police believe that it was left accidentally by the killers, so it wasn't actually the Dardeen families, they think. The killer or killers took the time to stage the crime scene and also cleaned it up a little bit, and shows no urgency to leave. This led police to believe that the murders were committed at night, since it could be seen from Interstate 57.
And yeah, you could tell it was staged since, Elaine, Peter, and the newborn daughter, Casey, were all tucked into the same bed.
Yeah.
And, and the autopsies show all four homicides took place within about an hour of each other, and bodies of Elaine, Peter, and Casey had been killed roughly 12 hours before they were found, and Keith had been killed about 24 to 36 hours before his body was found. And no drugs or alcohol were present in the autopsy reports. So let's suggest let all of them were at least not hindered by drugs or alcohol when everything happened.
Mm-hmm. And there are some theories that have been ruled out. Like, there's no forced entry was evident. The VCR and portable camera were in plain sight in the living room, as well as easily accessible jewelry and stuff like that. This remained out a botched robbery, so I think it wasn't supposed to be a robbery. Elaine also hadn't been sexually assaulted. A stack of newspapers and sports scores found at the house led to thoughts that Keith might have had a gambling debt, and that might have been the reason why. But then also Joanne Dardeen told police that Keith was so frugal that he raised extra money by selling 50-cent soda cans for a small profit. And then they also ruled out satanic cult killings.
And something we haven't touched on, this was like right leading up or right in the middle of the satanic panic. So that's why the satanic cult killing was kind of even a theory at the time. And possible theories is that Franklin County coroner Dr. Robert Lewis did not believe the Dardeens were randomly chosen, and Lewis told the Post Dispatch that, quote, I believe it was a very personal, deliberate thing, and two FBI profilers reviewed the evidence, though the crime defied their methods.
And Joanne, the mother of the pleas to the media. So Joanne petitioned the Oprah Winfrey Show, but was rejected due to the crime being too brutal for daytime television, which that is very much understandable. And also petitioned for America's Most Wanted and was originally rejected for the same reasons, but they eventually ran the segment in 1998.
Which, for America's Most Wanted, they could have been like, originally could have been like, hey, these people were murdered, and if you've got any information, please contact, Illinois State Police, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, and all that. But understandable they didn't want to get into the details because what we haven't really gone into details because they are rather gruesome. And some suspects. Well, the first suspect that was briefly a suspect was serial killer Angel Magarino Resendez, aka Rafael Resendez Ramirez, though they couldn't connect him to the crime. And Tommy Lynn Sells, another serial killer, confessed to the murders, but people doubt his involvement due to his confessions being largely public knowledge in the sense that it was stuff that the public would already know about. And Joanne originally believed that Sells was guilty, but by 2014 she had changed her mind, and Sells was executed for his previous murders in Texas in 2014. And some believe Sells was copying fellow serial killer Henry Lee Lucas by trying to avoid the death penalty by confessing to crimes he didn't commit. So either way, Sells was a scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked up and like from what he said, Sells said he said that he met Keith whenever he was at a gas station, or he even changed his story one time and said a pool hall, and he said that Keith invited him in for dinner. So that would kind of make sense for the non-forced entry, but there's a lot of stuff that didn't really match up.
Yeah, like it was either all like stuff that he would know because it was stuff already released to the public, or just didn't match up at all.
Yeah. And the impact on the surrounding communities, of course, people started locking their doors and even formed groups when entering or leaving sporting events for their own personal protection.
Which in a small community like Ina and like most of the surrounding areas, yeah, people would kind of freak out over something like this. And on to our thoughts, my thoughts is that since this is a somewhat local case, it's kind of a wake-up call, even if it did happen nearly 40 years ago. But still, the killer or killers theoretically could still be out there. Hopefully they're not, but theoretically they still could be out there.
Yeah, it's just a terrible thing to happen to really anyone, and like we said, hopefully the killer or killers isn't still out there. Yeah.
But with that, I think that's all we've got for this week. We'll be on a break next week, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. Any last words, Ethan?
No, just thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Drop us a follow on Spotify, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, bye, everyone.
You might wake up beside Spearfinger with an extended visit from Jack the Ripper. But if you're lucky, it'll be an angel on that range hill of Louisiana. You might meet Mary Laveau or the Road. At Folklore Unlocked, Austin and Ethan concoct their theory of the eerie and unexplained around the world, sometimes even the underworld. The lore is locked behind secrets, the folklore is meant to be unlocked. The Sokaloo is haunting NC as well as Tennessee. There are many giants that might be clients of the Dark Watchers, who might have psychokinesis. And the phantom time hypothesis is like a phoenix, coming back around again and again. Though there's a strain on your brain if you've got more than 2 brain cells in you. Some believe McCartney's dead because they read into the Mandela effect. language is subject